Alright, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And today, my video is another Family Guy video. I'm gonna watch it. It's called "Why Stewie Isn't Evil Anymore." What's funny is me and my friend was just talking about this the other day. Cause I mean, if y'all watch Family Guy, know back then he was evil and he wanted world domination and killing Lewis. And now he's just like, he don't even be trying to be on that no more. I would say he went. I mean, I. Well, we all know how Stewie is now. He just more gay, more sensitive. He don't really. I feel like in the newer episodes, for example, like look, if somebody push him down, he gonna be like, "What the hell is your problem?" You know what I'm saying? He gonna say stuff like that. In the old episode, if you mess with him and you owe like $1, look right here. He gonna set you on fire. So pretty much, yeah. Let's get into the video because I mean, big Family Guy fan here, so I will be interested in this video. Let's go.
When Family Guy began, Stewie was a diabolical baby hell-bent on taking over the world with a furious vendetta against his own mother.
Stewie, why don't you play in the other room?
Why don't you burn in hell?
But flash forward 20 years and he shelved any plans of world domination, and he even loves his mummy.
Mommy!
He's definitely not the same character as he was back in season 1, but is this a good or a bad thing? To answer this, I'll be going through Stewie's evolution from an evil baby to becoming arguably the heart of the entire series. So, what better episode to use as our starting point than the very first one?
Family Guy came out in 1999. Me and that baby should be
At the beginning, Stewie's already up to no good with his mind control device, which Lois confiscates, mistaking it for an innocent toy, and so provoking the first of many Shakespearean soliloquies.
Damn you, vile woman! You've impeded my work since the day I escaped from your wretched womb.
In the pilot, we also learn of Stewie's two motivations for matricide. One is, as we have seen, Lois's interference with his evil plans, and the other is
he tried to kill her,
being trapped inside of her for 9 months before he was born. It's at this point where fans were introduced to the complexities of Stewie.
When you least expect it, your uppance will come.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't watch much of the first season of Family Guy. I always end up skipping that. Start off maybe season 3 or 4, That's just me. But yeah, from the jump, Stewie wanted to kill his mom. I want to kill my mom.
He is highly intelligent with the ability to create complicated weapons, but he doesn't understand basic biology because, well, he is still a baby. This builder made it all the more ironic that he was the one to save Peter and Lois from being imprisoned, using his mind control device to change the judge's mind. Showing us that even though Stewie may hate his parents, he at least still acknowledges his dependence on them.
The first episode.
Intolerable as it may be, I'm completely dependent upon those wretched drones for sustenance.
Because I don't even remember.
This complex characterization of quirky baby logic, shrouded in evil, was expanded on in the 3rd episode, Chitty Chitty Death Bang. Here, Stewie is scared of being put back in the womb for his first birthday party, mistaking Meg's cult leader as the same man in white who delivered him. So after taking him out, Stewie feels confident in his plan for world domination again. But when he's given his birthday wish, he initially fantasizes about war and destruction, but instead uses it to turn his party into a disco that John Travolta would be proud to shake his pelvis at. Not only was this a randomly funny end to the episode, but it could have also foreshadowed his evolution into becoming more of a fun-loving and flamboyant character later on. This was a slow-burning arc that carried on throughout season 2, continuing to show more of evil Stewie and his failed plans to take out Lois. Brian Griffin and the Road to Saga, i.e. Stewie's Road to Kindness. If there's a character that's key to Stewie's development, it's Brian Griffin. What started out as a friendly rivalry transpired into one of the most entertaining relationships in the entire series. So after a season and a half of being a glorified side gag, Stewie was given the biggest
Stewie and Brian better,
in the episode
or American Dad? Do y'all like
Island,
Steve and Roger?
which would become the first of many as it was so popular. And although Rhode Island is more about Brian finding his mother, Stewie really shines on this wacky adventure. He's not just in the supportive or devious one-liner role, he's integral to the mechanism of the plot in getting the two of them back home. And the following
went
installment
on
of the
so many
saga,
adventures
Road to
together.
Europe, focused more on Stewie and his baby logic that we loved him for. This time playing with the fact that he believes a
here
show
yarning.
like Jolly Farm is real. So wishing to live in this fictional English farmyard, he travels to Europe with Brian chasing after him. Finally, Stewie realizes that Jolly Farm isn't real and grows from it, and we see more of Stewie's silly side when he embraces funky, fruity hats.
Meet the Stewie who loves funky fruit hats.
Stewie really shined as a character, as it's in these episodes where we fully realized and appreciated his infant naivety,
this gotta be the
which
first
counteracted
2 seasons,
against his
'cause
intelligence,
first 2 seasons I didn't
showing
really watch
just
like
how
that.
much potential Stewie had as a leading character and how memorable he is in animation in general. Stewie Griffin's retirement of world domination. If there's a point where Stewie's gimmick of global takeover was coming to an end, it was in the 3-part special Stewie Griffin: The Untold Story. In part 1, Stewie Be Good,
remember
he
this
dies
episode.
after an incident with a lifeguard chair, and so is sent to hell. But after being given a second chance, the baby really tries his best to change his evil ways.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Your friend, Stewie. And he's always gonna be there for you.
The story continues in part 2, where Stewie sees a man on TV who he believes to be his biological father. So with Brian, he travels cross-country to meet him, but as it turns out, this
feel like I've seen
lookalike
this
is
episode so many
actually
times,
Stewie
man.
from the future. He was in the past, of course, because he was on vacation, and just when he's about to return to the future, the baby jumps on his back. In the finale, in the future, we see what adult Stew's life is like, and after the lofty goals Stewie spoke about during the show's run, it was ironic to see just how average his future had become. He works at a circuit shop, lives in a crummy apartment, and is still a virgin. And baby Stewie does try to help, but it all backfires on him, soon discovering that it was the event at the pool that truly ruined his life. So Stewie goes back in time to try and prevent it, and he succeeds by getting vaporized by evil Stewie. Stewie evolved over the course of this, no longer someone who is solely focused on evil. It seemed that the writers really wanted to make a real shift in Stewie's personality. Stewie kills Lois, and Lois kills Stewie, and Family Guy kills Stewie's thirst for matricide. So far in the video, we have seen how evil Stewie was gradually being slowed down in the show, but it wasn't until season 6 where we saw his matricide also slowing down too. After plotting to murder Lois after going on a cruise without him, Brian points out to Stewie that he hasn't actually followed through on his terrible plans before. This only incentivizes the baby into sneaking onto the ship and finally end Lois for good. And so after
Family
6
Guy's my number
seasons,
one show when I'm ready
Stewie
to go to
finally
sleep.
succeeded in his
why I'm
lifelong
grinding so much.
goal.
You did it. You actually did it.
We also see him succeed in his other goal, taking over
All time,
the
this
world.
was a whole stimulation too.
He sneaks into CIA HQ, takes over the power grid, and therefore
Yeah, Stan was
becomes
in this
the
episode.
president of the world. And the only person who can stop him, Lois Griffin, along with Peter. She amazingly returns a year after her murder to out her son for the crime that Peter was being framed for.
It was Stewie!
And so the parental duo also succeeds in killing Stewie, all before the entire thing turns out to be a silly simulation. And while many saw this ending as a cop-out, I feel this two-parter was the writer's way of saying goodbye to the old mother-hating Stewie, which by that point had become pretty tired anyway, no longer fitting in with Stewie's more fun and quirky personality.
The ending
Heck,
was good
much later on in
because
season 19,
they
one of
killed
his
off
first
Stewie
words
within
that
this.
everyone understands is
Mommy.
Stewie today. Stewie's drive for world domination or mama murder has pretty much retired, as newer episodes tended to place bigger focus on his inventions and escapades with Brian, but that's not to say that evil Stewie has completely disappeared. We do get occasional glimpses, like when he kills the new
he
Brian
just stood
in
there and
season
taped
7,
it. I
but
remember that
overall
episode.
his sinister traits have become fewer and far between, and his softening dark side was even the focus of season 9's The Hand That Rocks the Wheelchair. In it, Brian tells Stewie that he is going soft and losing his edge, and realizing that the dog is right, Stewie builds a machine to boost his evil, but while it doesn't work per se, it does create a clone,
This was a good
an
episode, too.
evil Stewie clone. This leads on to a fight between the two Stewies, with Brian eventually shooting one. And although it does end with the twist that the evil clone may have still survived, Stewie's sinister traits continue to dilute after this. I feel that this episode acknowledged that Stewie had changed, but he's at least a lot more three-dimensional now. As episode
now he
shifted
just goes
away
on
from
more
his evil
adventures.
antics,
I
plotlines focused
hated
more
this
on his
episode, man.
vulnerability,
I hated
such
this
as
episode.
his deepening friendship with Brian.
I
I hate this one too. Look, that episode when he was crying when he was in that therapist chair, I hate it. That was so boring. I skip it. This one
love
right
you
here,
as
I
one
didn't
loves
like it
another
too.
person whom one simply cannot do without.
Episodes like Brian and Stewie, as well as season 16's Dog Bites Bear, allowed Stewie's emotional walls to finally come down. He was unafraid to get
be a
serious
whole
and
grown man
raw,
right now.
something unimaginable with the earlier, more one-dimensional Stewie. His vulnerability would be pushed even more in the very next episode,
That's the
season
episode I hate,
16's
man.
Send in Stewie Please, starring Stewie mostly confined to one room other than one child psychologist, Dr. Cecil Pritchfield. And together they expose the full breakdown of the baby, and he even reveals the burden of his intelligence and yearning to be more normal,
Maybe I'm worried nobody's going to like me.
as well as the carefully constructed persona he built to keep people at his arm's length.
Like a weight has been lifted. I can finally be myself.
But ever the complex character, Stewie realizes that without these traits, he'd be like everybody else. So therefore
Maybe a normal
reverts
baby.
back and even has a classic evil Stewie moment by not getting Dr. Pritchfield his heart medication during a fatal heart attack. All because the therapist was the only person who knew the real Stewie, and he needed that to remain a secret.
I did something awful. Do you want to talk about it? No.
Overall, while it was initially fun to see this evil talking baby in a relatively standard family sitcom, the writers could only do so much with this gimmick. And for a series that has been on for
Yeah, we pretty much at the end of the video right now. But yeah, how y'all feel about how Stewie, completely changed, like his character from the beginning to now? You know what I'm saying? But if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like the video and all that too. And I'm gonna see y'all in my next video. Alright, adios.